Yahawashi, Yahawashi, Bashim, regard the gods, through water, Yahweh, water, Yahweh, Vashim, Yahawashi, Barakatah, Yahweh. Oh, your mercy all the time. Oh, Barakatah, Yahweh, for the Akim you supply. Call, Lord, Yahweh, Vashim, Yahawashi, the water, Yahweh, for your mercy all the time. Shlaki Yahweh, for my sins as I cry. Call, Lord Yahweh, Vashim Yahweh. Shalom, shalom. It's your brother Obadiah Yahawashi. And Most High put a little something on my spirit and told me, he said, listen, the spirit of prophecy, Yahweh's spirit of prophecy, right? And primarily what I'm saying here, which is very important, is Yahweh's son, Yahawashi. The spirit of prophecy is your test. It's our test in that way. Now, when I say that Yahawashi is testing us, I don't mean as though he has to test us based on what he has not already predetermined to be our lot and what we're going to do while we're here in this period of time, especially in this end period of time. And it's all centered around what is pleasing to the Most High. And then there's quite a few things that are developing at this point in time towards the end that a lot of Hebrew Israelites, male, female, Akim, Akwaf, are just not unblocked from in terms of a spiritual capacity. And the Most High has spiritual blockage on everything that he created because he limits certain things that he does not want to be revealed as of yet. But this is why the Akim go out and on the highways and byways and on sit downs and YouTube and what have you, and different social media platforms, and they bring to you an understanding of information that is what we would say given to you and offered to you for some level of edification and understanding. If you know Paul, he had a lot of things that he did for the Most High, and he was a Pharisee who was very knowledgeable of the law, studied under Gamaliel, and he had a thorn in his side that would not be removed, even though Yahawashi asked for that thorn to be removed 3 times. Praise, worship, and prayer. Father, Son, and the Ruach HaKodesh, right? Yahweh Bashim Yahawashi. And it wasn't removed. Mainly because the humility that we're supposed to learn, to understand, and operate under is part of the Most High's law. And I want to touch on some things about law that don't normally be addressed at the detail and in this level that I'm going to strive and praise, worship, and pray that the Most High can allow me to bring it to you. And at some point, what I will do is the Yahweh will allow me to do a deeper research study to bring some of what I'm going to express to you and what he wants you to understand. Sometimes he reveals things a little bit more, and sometimes he reveals them a little bit less, and at his particular time and place that he decides to do that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a few. But let me go back to what I'm saying, not to digress. When Paul was given such a monumental task of going out to talk to scattered Israelites and also to those who were in the fold of understanding and in the truth, so to speak, there was a lot of consternation, a lot of contention and issues and going back and forth between the brethren that were in the truth specifically, as well as those scattered that gave complete contention because they were not awakened to the truth at the level that they are. But still, we have to remember the Most High Yahweh is in control of absolutely all things and all facets of things. We got to remember to respectfully and sovereignly give that homage and that honor and respect to the Most High in reference to what he keeps as a mystery and what he reveals, because that's extremely important. And of course, there are men of the Lord that are sanctioned from predestination to do this work in some ways. And we all have a different level upon which we operate in the Hamashiach, in the body of Hamashiach. And because all parts of the body of Hamashiach are not the same, nor do they all operate in the same manner. So you can't cookie cutter or pigeonhole a true man of the Lord in any perspective, because you're going to do what your lot and what your perspective mission is that you agreed to in the spirit world before you got here, no matter how many times you come here. And more successful you are at being able to unravel the clues that he gave you in order to move through that mission, gets you to the point of your graduation and and to the point of becoming regenerated eventually. And that's what's important, because we want to be able to get to that part of the regeneration. And that's where we live forever and ever. And so I'm going to also shine in on a lesson I did in the past, and I'm going to bring it up on the live while I'm doing this portion of it. But this is the commentary to start things off, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that are expounded on here and what are not expounded on here. I want to read scripture. First, before I do that, I want to also give salutations and my utmost respect and admiration to the apostles who have been bringing this truth out for decades in and decades out, undoubtedly. And you'll hear me speak about this in the lesson that I show you as well. And the accuracy is what's most important. We all have a lot of different attributes that are being worked on by the Most High in terms of the men of the Lord, because we're the ones that are given the opportunity. And it's a blessed and merciful opportunity to teach this truth in this word in accuracy. And that's what's important. We can't go with the doctrines and religions of the practitioners of the world, because the Most High gave them the word to lead them astray. He didn't give them the word to get it right. He gave us the word to get it right, and we're getting it right. So that's what's important. And we're getting it right based on how he treats us and how he protects us, and what information he gives us that continues to edify and also exhort his truth, his honor, and his word. So those men of the Lord that were chosen to bring this truth out, all of these different derivative and organizations and camps that have sprung out, that have problems and issues, but one thing in common they have is they are trying to continue to bring this truth out and follow what Yahawashi put on their spirit to do so. I don't condone what they're doing when they bug out and go off, but we have to have that portion of it. Just like we have to have good and evil, we have to have the bug outs as well as those that are doing the work as righteously as possible. So let's make sure we consider that situation when we look at and listen to whoever we're allowed to listen to. But you'd be best to listen to those who are bringing the best accuracy, because at the way that it's staged, it formulates from that point. Okay, it's just clearly want to tell you that and let you know that. Now, this scripture I'm going to bring out first is important because it's important to set somewhat the standard and the stage for what I'm going to talk about. This is Revelation chapter 6, okay? And these souls that are crying out under the altar. Now, in my lesson a little earlier, you sometimes, you get a little brain freeze and you can't remember where you were or where you were when you try to pick up a scripture, but that's okay. We're there and we're going to bring it out here, but we're going to make sure we know where we're going. All right, Revelation chapter 6, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start. Okay, yeah. I'm going to start at the 5th seal. Okay, and I think it's a good place to get started. All right. All right. Yeah, let's start there. I could go back a little further, but I think that's good to start right at the 5th seal, because I think we can bring this in where it needs to go from that method there, and then we can go forward, right? And that's what I'm attempting to do for you today in this way. All right. Oh, okay. Where are we at? Okay. Verse 9, 6. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yahweh and for the testimony which they held. Now, you have souls under the altar that have a consciousness and a voice to express concern and a method of reciprocity. Okay, if you don't know what reciprocity is, it's a form of giving some payback by someone who is in charge of being able to give that form of payback. I'm not calling it revenge. I'm calling it what I said. It's a reciprocity process, okay? All right? Now, like I said, in the fifth seal opened and saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yahweh and for the testimony which they held. This also loads up and lets in to let you know all of the things that the Akim have been teaching for the last couple of weeks in reference to debunking the hell doctrine of these bug outs that come out and say that there's something that's beneath somewhere that the Most High is setting on fire and putting souls in it. It's not happening. So these souls are under the altar and they're crying out and they're not in pain from being put in fire, okay? Let's continue here a little bit, all right? 10, and they cried with a loud voice saying, how long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou judge and avenge? See, now the judge and avenge part, you need to make sure you understand when he avenges, Most High says judgment sometimes, and his judgment is a form of punishment for those that are scheduled and already predetermined to get this. Just like he said, he made the wicked for the day of evil, and he also made vessels of wrath fitted for destruction. So they're going to receive the recompense based on what we would consider it to be a revenge or advenge. Now, when he advenges himself, he's fulfilling what he said in terms of his judgment and his wrath, okay? And he says, avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth, okay? On the earth. So that kind of locks in on the hell doctrine a little bit too, to tell you about he's doing this here on the earth. Not in heaven. No one in heaven is getting avenged on. That's the spiritual world of rest at that time for everyone that's in the spirit world. Okay. Moving forward. And okay. And 11. And white robes were given unto every one of them, and it was said unto them that they should rest. See, yet a little while, a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. Now that's important. So this fits in there with the MOTB. Okay, so you have to make sure you insert this portion of prophecy that has to be fulfilled. Let me explain again. He says here, all right, and this is it, all right, rest yet for a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. Now, that means if you notice every one of the prophets, every one of the elect who considered to be prophets that were transitioned back or dispatched back to the spirit world, all in the flesh, had a pretty horrible way of exiting here, okay? And that's the Most High's hand, because he's the judgment. He's the one who has the issues of life and death, okay? So it doesn't matter who you are. This flesh, he determines how he wants to depart it, okay? And even some of the ones that were apostles that staged the path and the way for those that come after them, he said, just like fellow servants before, there's going to be some of the same situations going down, all right? So that's the sacrifice I talked about in several lessons before. We all have to give up this sacrifice before we get out of here, all right? 12, unless he transfigures you and takes you like Enoch or takes you like, Ezekiel up in the chariot. Other than that, you're going to have to drop the flesh, okay? 12, and I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Okay? And the heaven departed as a scroll when it rolled together, and every mountain and every island were moved out of their place. See? Now, when we talk about the stars falling from heaven and a scroll, we're speaking in terms of the culmination of what is considered the war in the heavens between Yahawashi, Michael, and this devil here, Esau Edom, and what particular way he's going to try to put up a fight, which is impossible because you can't fight against your creator. But the Most High is going to make a show of it, and he's going to allow Esau to try to play that part, even though he will be diminished quickly. And you'll see that that's going to happen. And we pray, worship, and pray that we'll be able to see that happen if we can live long enough. All right, and that's what in 14 and it says, and the heaven departed as a scroll. Okay, and that's that mushroom cloud and how that situation goes with the nuclear fire when it is rolled together and every mountain and island were moved out of its place. And the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. See, now you see this happening now, and they're already hiding in dens and bunkers and rocks. So you know how close we are. Now, see, this is why it's so amazing that you can see who's really so spiritually blocked on this. When it says clearly that this is what's going to happen, it's being spoken before it happens. That's the spirit of prophecy from Yahawashi that we're talking about here. So therefore, it's prophecy means something that's spoken before it happens, okay? Now, we see your elite and all these super duper, whatever you want to call them, illuminated ones, they're already going to bunkers, hiding in rocks and under the mountains and stuff. So this prophecy is shown right in front of your face. So how do you dare have the belief to say that, you know, you can't get ready to do something to prepare for the wrath of the Most High because you think it ain't time yet and you think you have more time? You know they already been going to bunkers a long time ago since we've been talking about this and hiding in the den of the rocks. So if the Most High's word is so on point and so spot on, that how could you dare try to say that this is not happening, whoever you are? And if you don't understand this, you are delving in high-level demonology that you are under, that the Most High got you under. Because you see that they've been hiding. Where do you think they all went? Okay? But anyway, let's keep it moving. All right, 16. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, okay? And hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. And that's why you see the picture that I showed of the Most High Yahweh sitting on the throne. And the wrath that he's bringing down is coming through his manager, Yahawashi, and the angels. And they're going to be kicking, dragging, and taking names. Okay, so let's make sure we understand that. So this is the wrath that's coming. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Point blank, period. Who can stand when this happens? Ain't nobody standing when this happens. No one's going to be comfortable. Everybody's going to be totally shaken up or totally taken down. It's just as simple as that. All right. It's no getting around that. And the Most High has to do this in order to cleanse this place. Look how filthy this place is in terms of this micromanagement, puppetized Esau Edom devil that's able to do this because Job chapter 9:24, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. Who else is the wicked? Who else is doing this? Oh, come on. This is not a mystery for you. If you can't figure this out, and if you're on board waiting on Esau's program and his system and all his things to come back online, and you're supporting this process, then you're fighting against you're trying to fight against the Most High, which is very unintelligent. Well, quite frankly, it's spiritually retarded and stupid. And if that's what you're doing and you're going to try to wish this system back into place and you want to line up with it and see that you want to go here and you want to build this and get a 30-year mortgage and go get this kind of degree and go get this kind of opportunity, you're fighting against something that the Most High is taking down. And if you can't see it crumbling all around you and all the test factors that he's doing with shutting down banks, shutting down food plants and sources, all this stuff is going down. And when he's doing this and you can't recognize it, you're blocked. And you're predestined to be blocked, which is more likely you may be predestined to be a 2/3 and possibly just not make it this time around. That seems like it might be the case for you. Look, I don't call it, I just call it like the Most High says it in the word. What? Kill the messenger? Yeah, they're gonna kill some of the messengers. because that's what the Most High ordained. But don't concentrate on that. Concentrate on what your salvation is, like it says in 2nd Ezra. That's what's important. But anyway, let me say this before we get into a little further into getting the lesson going. That is a pre-programmed lesson that I did before that Most High put in my spirit that I need to share with you about this same topic, and I'm going to bring it out. But let me just say this first about the law, because we need to talk about the law in a minute. The law also has been in question lately in reference to how do you operate and function within and around and on and all over the law. Now, let's say this, because this is some stuff that you need to possibly understand, and I'm going to do more deeper research on this, but I guarantee you what I've been given, I don't think there's any contention about it, because it's more than spiritual common sense. All right. Everything that Yahweh, the Father, has invented, you notice I said invented, everything that came from the mind of his spirit is under the process of his law that he set up. He has a universal law he set up, okay? And in that universal law, there's derivatives of law that goes down in categories, if you can understand what I'm saying. I'll give you some examples, all right? One of the universal laws that the Most High set up is in reference to the ordinances that he put his son in charge of creating along with the angels. The sun, the moon, the stars, certain types of atmosphere conditions, could be universal situations as far as other locations that the Most High created. I mean, invented and then had Yahawashi and angels create. But everything operates under a form of law, universal law that springs from the Father. He's in total control of all universal law. But every law that he did create, he had subdivisions of the law that operate within every aspect of creation. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you can, look, hold on. If you can't, look, if you got a blockage and this doesn't resonate, I'm not going to continue to repeat over and over again. But the Most High Yahweh he is creation, continuous creation. He never stops creating. That's the nature of why he is. I said this before in lessons. And what springs from him is his law, which is the creation, okay? And he has subdivisions of creation that have to operate under law because that's a form of his order that he is controlling and giving to his son to manage and to basically put the prosperity of that particular method out in electrochemiluminescence, which is the building blocks of everything in the spiritual world as well as in the physical world, and things we also don't understand. So when people talk about you cannot follow the law or you can't be under the law, you see, this is where they're mentally deficient spiritually in a spiritual capacity. Everything is under the law because the law, universal law of creation, encompasses the physical law of flesh manifestation that embodied the 613 laws that were given to us as we operate here in this period of time on this earthly plane. The Most High modified his universal law that still is woven within the laws that we have to operate while we're in the flesh that we couldn't keep. See, just like you can't keep or control his universal laws, but you have to obey them because they are universal in their construction. Here's another example. If two people are up on a building and it's yay high or way up high, all right? And let's just say they get into a little bit of a tussle and a bustle and they both go over the side of the building. And if it's several stories up, what is the universal law in reference to what happens to them if they go over the side of the building? Are they going to fly out, stop in the air, and continue to hustle and tussle and bustle and fight? No, they're going to go down. Because why? Don't have wings, weren't given the universal ability to fly at that time, they're going to hit the ground. And what's the other universal law in reference to when they hit the ground? Are they going to survive? It's clearly up to the Most High, but the chances are not very good in the percentage that they will, depending on how high they're up. That's just one example, but there's multiple examples about universal law that the Most High set up that you can't control, but you participate with it in terms of how you breathe. The pneuma, the pneumatic breathing that you breathe, that's a law that the Most High set up in order for you to operate under and operate through. You don't necessarily control your breathing at all. He allows you and your breathing to function within the metabolism. Also, another law that he set. He set your metabolism in your body to operate independent from you telling it to do so. You don't tell your heart to beat. You don't tell your eyes to see. You see what I'm saying? You don't tell various involuntary functions within the vessel he made to do what it does. Okay? Now, this all is incorporated in the process of involved with the universal laws he set up that are all simultaneously and categorically attached to each other. So you cannot say that you're not under the law, because then you sound completely moronic, a stupid idiot. We are all under the Most High Yahawashi's laws, and we are all under various categories of his law, depending on what manifestation you exist in. If you exist in the flesh here, you are subject to and responsible for operating within the laws you can keep under the 613 that were given while you were here in the flesh, if it is pertinent to what your level of captivity is in the flesh. Now, what manifestation you also may be in, okay, in reference to, let's say, the angels. They're under the Most High's universal law and law that he made of creation. They cannot go outside of the universal law of creation that he made them function in their metabolism. They don't come down here and make children with women. That's a universal law the Most High set up that they can't go and do and go past. So listen to bug outs talking about fallen angels making children and giants is out. Okay. Now, also, there are levels of the heavenly realm that have order and laws that apply to where things are and what things are done. Do you know there's chambers and locations where the Most High has the ingredients and, let's say, the building blocks of the sun, the moon, the stars, and all these things that maintain these ordinances? There's a law that covers that. There's a law that says that Yahawashi can only do what the Most High has predetermined him to do, that he will do along with everything else in creation. There's also a law for the Most High himself where he says he will not go and do something that will take apart all of the prophecies and things that he's done and will do in creation. So you cannot be not under the law like wacky-tacky, stupid Christians and people who are practitioners of religion say, because we all are under his law, because he owns and creates everything continuously, and it's all controlled under his law and order. That's right, law and order. Just like some of the daggone show you watch that calls that, but that's weak and has nothing to do with, that's worldly. The Most High has law and order, and he's in control of all of it, and you cannot be not under the law, okay? Just, let's see, a higher spiritual level of understanding, if you were right with the right teachers and if you were with the right individuals that teach you in accuracy, these things would be afforded to you by the Ruach HaKodesh. But clearly there are people who are blocked and they can't get it. And they're supposed to be, because that's another law. The Most High made a law that, and when he set up what was going to happen from the beginning and to the end, that these are the things in prophecy, and these are the things that those that are pre-programmed to do in prophecy on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side and everything in between. You ain't going to break that law. And he doesn't break his own law. So just to get that out so you understand this portion of it. Now, I praise, worship, and pray. And you notice I always say praise, worship, and pray, because we don't do enough of that. We pray, but we don't praise and worship enough. We don't show a higher love. But that's the subject I dealt with before, and you know I got a lesson when I go to it. But I'm just praising, worshiping, and praying that Yahawashi would consider me to do a little bit deeper study about why we're under all of his law that he continuously keeps in place and allows Yahawashi, his son, Yahawashi, to manage that law, okay? And how the categories of that law that are managed are super furiously continued and worked with by the Most High, okay? And so that's important to know, all right? And I think that if we clearly took our time to understand how the Most High operates, and we did praise, worship, and pray, and we worked with each other that are in this truth, not people who buck up against it, not the ones who were giving the truth on both sides, the wise and the unwise, okay? The worldly and the unworldly. They were given a certain amount of it. And then all of a sudden, the Most High, I'm going to hold back some information and then we'll release it at a certain time. This is some of the information that you're getting right now that I feel so humbly blessed and graced to offer to you, hoping that you will completely understand that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get this part of the lesson I wanted to show you because I think it's important. I did this lesson before, and the Most High said, go to your archive, pull it out, play it, because it's going to talk about the spirit of prophecy. We'll go into more scriptures and some more detail, and just bear with me, Shalaki, on me getting it set up, and then I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. But I just want you to know that this is going to be something I think that'll be very edifying to you. So just bear with me. Don't go away. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. And we're going to get it right for you so that you can enjoy this, all right? So just bear with me. All right? Let's see if we can get it straight here. All right, I think we pretty much got it. Shalom, shalom. All right, looks like we on. Most High, you want to say, call the law Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi, Hashem, Rukakudash, which means all praises to Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi, in the name of the Son, Yahawashi. All right. This is your brother, Obadiah, Yahweh Canaan. And we're coming to you this morning. Tried to get it in last night, but Roy Dish obviously was working me and said, no, not right now. You're going to have to wait to get some more things done before you can get it in. So we're here this morning to get it in for the Most High. I want to say, first and foremost, infinite honors and praise to Yahawah, Hashem, Yahawashi, Father, Yahawah. We want to say salutations to the hopeful elect. We want to also say salutations and our utmost respect and utmost admiration to the apostles who've been bringing out the truth for decades. And as I said before, the accuracy is only with one organization that the World Call Dish to Yahweh Hashem, Yahawashi has blessed, and that's with GMS. Everybody's got their flaws. Everybody's got their issues. None of us have what I would consider to be a chariot ride acceptability yet, but we're working on it. All praises, Lord willing, right? All praises to Yahweh, Hashem Yahawashi. But we've been going through a lot in terms of more than a lot. We've been going through beyond what is called a lot in reference to where we are at this particular time period in prophecy. And one of the things that the Spirit brought to my attention as an individual that the Most High, and I feel so blessed and humble that He would allow me to even still be here to witness this unbelievable just monumental, unbelievable spiritual capacity of salvation, this method of prophetic salvation that's being brought forward for those of the elect that are selected, before the foundation of the world, of course, and so in knowing that that is the case and understanding it at this level of the awakening, all of what we're going through from what I've been given to understand, and take it in consideration that we all are, who are the elect, we all are of the body of Hamashiach in terms of what parts of us that we have to perform in order to operate within the prophecy that Yahweh the Father has set forth through his Son, who is the heir of all things in the book of John. Before you can speak of that and go into detail about it, he's been put heir of all things. And through Hamashiach, we get to the Father because the Father sent us to Hamashiach and he kept us in his name. That's why the name is so very important, and you cannot go past that. See, these are things that are of what this message is coming in today to speak of. The lesson, and the title for the lesson is "The Spirit of Prophecy is Your Test." This is what the Most High Yahawashi gave me to teach as an observer for him, which is, I believe, my part of the body of Hamashiach that I'm supposed to fulfill, which is my lot. The spirit of prophecy is your test. And we're going to go through as much as we can to get through this. I've got several scriptures I got down on my notes here, directly out of the Bible, out of the Torah, Pentateuch, Book of Remembrance, whichever you understand as being your level of knowledge given by the Rokoff edition in the Most High, Yahawashi. This is so important because this commentary, I'm going to have to try to get it in if the Spirit sends it through me right. I want to make sure I get it right. And I feel like I do have it right because the Spirit has been pushing it on me for a little bit now, so I'm getting it out to you. From the beginning of the time when Yahawashi and the angels were charged with by Yahweh to orchestrate the process of creation of all things, the testing phase started beyond and way back once Yahawashi was created. All right, let me explain from what I understand. Yahweh, the Father, created Yahawashi. The first that he did, I don't like to say thing, but the first he did Shalaki, the first that he did of his love that took from himself more than what we can imagine, a gift that can never be acquainted upon, is Yahawashi. And then in turn took that gift and gave that gift as a sacrifice. that alone could close the book on this whole situation, just saying that in itself. Okay, but let's get right there. I'm not going to digress, go back. All right, so during that time, once Yahawashi was created and then the angels were created as well, once the creation process had been completed at a point of it has been brought into existence, the test started with all of the Most High's creation. The Most High tests all his creation, everything that he has created that is in a continual perennial creation process that keeps bringing back. So we have no idea the magnitude of his creation and beyond what we live and understand here from the metabolism that we have, that he's given us to understand. Just like in John chapter 5, around 39, Yahawashi told you, no one has heard the Father's voice or seen his shape, which means he'll give a theopolyptic type view to your mind to get you to try to understand what you think he looks like. And even in what he's done through giving us that unction of understanding in the metabolism that we have, we know that all has been created for the purpose that they have to fulfill. You have servants and then you have friends. The servants are the ones that could be considered the rest of the nations and those individuals who are going to perform a specific process that they were created for. Okay, Esau, Edom, the Hamites, the Moabites, the Ammonites. I mean, down the list you can go down. They're all the servants of Yahweh. Now, the servants have a role, but they don't know what the master is going to do in terms of how it works out. Because you notice they can't understand what's going on from a spiritual perspective. They speak in carnality, and their carnality is the only level of metabolism that they have been developed to understand, if you see what I mean. In other words, they have not been developed past the point of the carnality that they try to paint with some kind of spirituality, which is usually from the left-hand side, because the Most High controls absolutely everything. You've got to make sure you understand this. Everything that's going on, the Most High controls it. So when we speak of how the Satan or the devil or the wicked or the evil or whomever are doing the things that they're doing, it's still controlled by the Most High, Yahawashi. He's controlling both sides. This is the lot. This is what they've been given. This is the directive that they've been put inside. You cannot go past the sovereignty of the directives of Yahawashi. You're going to fulfill those roles, and within the realm of fulfilling those roles, you have been created to do that. Now, this brings me closer into my lesson about the spirit of prophecy is your test. The Most High Yahawashi, He tests us in every capacity and always in all kinds of ways. And we have to understand that, because if we don't, then we lose focus on what our faith is supposed to mean. Because that gift that Yahawashi is beyond what we deserve. So we have to understand this is what we're dealing with. Okay? And so in light of understanding what we're talking about, the testing has started at that point. So now we have not been very successful in passing the test as chosen people of the Most High Yahawashi. Yes, He has been aiding us in ways that we should, but He's expecting more from us based on the creation and the responsibility He put in us as a chosen people. And quite frankly, we failed many, many times. Okay, give you a case in point example. There's 7 different captivities that we've been involved in, and we're still involved in the last one, which is a big test. Okay, I want to show you something that, and maybe it'll come up pretty good on the camera, but take a look at this. All right, can you see that? Hopefully you can see that really good. Okay, all right. One of my Hebrew Israelite Aquarian friends sent me this, and I wanted to present it in this lesson as well. It talks about, okay, first the Egyptian captivity. Now I'm not going to go with the circa dates and chronology completely, because it's not necessary to do that. If you want to read about it, you can go to Leviticus chapter 26, 46, and it'll break down all this in more detail. But okay, let me explain. Let me get my glasses on so okay. In the test that we're dealing with, the first test, Egypt, captivity around 1500 BC. That's our first test, okay? We failed that test. Okay, well, how did we fail? Well, we got into slavery and the captivity, and number one, and also the fact that, what did we learn? Did we learn not to go back into captivity again? Did we learn not to embrace their wickedness, their idols, and their false doctrines? No, we didn't, because we blew that in the garden. Because, that was like the pre-test before the test where, we failed. Wickedness was in the garden, and because wickedness was there, Eve was subject to it, and in turn she fell counter to it, and she became a victim of it, and then in turn brought the victimization of it to the one she loved and the one who loved her, and then of course we fall as a whole people. Okay, as a nation, we fall all together, all of us. So, because a lot of the Akim and the brethren speak about the fact that, Eve, through the woman, wickedness was brought into the world. I'm not saying that that's not part of the process that happened, but let me take you to where Yahawashi brought to the observer in myself and said to me, and he said, okay, Obadiah, check this out. If something is there that is sin or that is wicked, if it's already there, okay, and then you go upon it, or you find a way to become attached to it or subjected to it, did you start it, or was it there for you to get beguiled by? Because this is what happened. She had to. It had to have been in the midst of the garden, which the Bible speaks of. Don't go to those trees or that specific, those entities in the midst of the garden, because obviously they had the wickedness on them already brought out in that way. So therefore, when she got away from her husband, Adam, what was he doing? He should have been on point anyway, watching her. I'm not correcting or saying anything about what Yahawashi decided to perform in his prophecies. That's what he decided to perform. We are his creation, and we have to operate under the guise and the auspice of what our omnipotent, most high Yahawashi is put in place. So that's all we can do. So I'm just saying, I used to tell my daughters all the time, my children, if you have some, it is an analogy, if you have some oil or some real nasty, sticky, toxic oil on the ground, okay, and you come upon it, okay, and you look at it, and let's just say you slip and fall in it, and you get it all over you, okay, now you have it on you, and sticky, nasty oil is very hard to clean off. It doesn't come off real easy. Even when you're working, most men know that if you get any kind of oil on you, it takes a special kind of soap or cleansing unit or cleansing property to get it off of you. So I liken this unto the situation where if a man or a woman, or even in the garden, comes upon the wickedness and you get involved in it, you go to it and you get involved in it. It was there already. So therefore, in order for you to get involved in it, it had to be something that you come upon. You didn't go into the garden and bring the evil with you. The evil was there already in those individuals and those nations that were contrary to Yahawashi. And when she come upon them, she got beguiled by something that was there. So yes, she shouldn't have done that prior to that, but we can't explain why that happened exactly, because only Yahawashi can explain that. But we're saying that the wickedness was there. Now, you can choose to get involved with that if the Spirit leads you into it, or you could fight against it and get out of it. Just like it tells you to flee, tell the devil to flee from you if you resist him. So if you resist, fleeing can happen, but you have to resist. If you don't resist, then therefore you are going to be in it. So I don't want to digress too much on that, but just want to hit that real quick, because sometimes that becomes a little bit of a stumbling block for some of the Akim. In terms of how they bring out that information. But I'm not knocking what they're doing. They're still bringing it out. It is said in the scripture the way it's said. But you also have to make sure your spiritual eyesight is up to speed in terms of understanding that you can't come upon something that's wicked if it wasn't already there, unless you create the wickedness. And the Most High holds and creates everything. He creates evil and he creates good. So he controls it all. So let's understand what we're dealing with, and let's be mature about it in our spiritual walk. Okay, as I said, Egyptian, going forward, Egyptian captivity, 1500 BC. Then the Assyrian captivity, which was 720 BC, of course. And then you had the Babylonian captivity that came in at around 586 BC or so. And then, of course, the Greek, the Persian, because the Persians took down, the Persian Mede captivity was 538 BC. The time when Nebuchadnezzar's son, Nebuchadnezzar, was told with the mene, tekel, euphrasin, and the hand were written on the wall by Yahawashi and told him his kingdom's over and it's done. Okay, well, the Medes and the Persians got that in 538 BC. The Greek captivity, which is pretty much hidden a lot of times, my teeth. The Greek captivity, which is hidden from the scriptures because Ptolemy, that wicked general of Alexander the Macedonian, decided to do, and also this was around the time when we had the absconsion, I'll use absconded, our Torah, our Bible, it was some wicked Hebrews that came and brought to light a translation of our book, the Torah, which is problematic to this day, but it does filter through in truth because Yahawashi will do that. You can't stop the truth. But when that Septuagint came about through Ptolemy and a couple of wicked Hebrews that through the Maccabees, and you can read about the book of Maccabees, went ahead and decided to help because Yahweh wanted it to happen, translate our book into a Septuagint. Okay, so then you had the Greek captivity during 32 BC. And then, of course, they really jump over that. Most of the Bible destruction group, deceptive individuals, and then they bring you 70 AD when when our people were destroyed and come out of Rome because of a lie that was placed on us and said against us. Nero thought to burn his own place down, and then at the same time, he was doing it mainly because he didn't want us to recapture that area because we had it already. So it became a ego issue with his crazy self. And then in turn, what he did was set Rome on fire. But and that's not funny. For us, what happened, and blamed it on the Judah and all of the tribes. And then it came into Jerusalem in 70 AD with the armies of Vespasian, Titus and Vespasian, and of course they slaughtered a lot of us, and Edomites stood around and helped point out where we went, where we didn't go. Just roughly paraphrasing that for the most part. And now at this point, we are in with the so-called American captivity, which actually started in 1491, or before then when Cristobal Colon came into this area of the country where the Northern Kingdom, getting away from King OC, and they came over here. And then, of course, short after that, Cristobal Colon and 5 Hebrew interpreters followed. And then, of course, once they got here, they took us into captivity again. The Northern Kingdom, which is part of the tribe of Reuben, which myself and several other Akim brothers are of, and we went into captivity, Taino Indians and what have you, so-called. So these 7 type captivities were tests. Each one was a prophetic test that we had to go through. And clearly the test was not passed because we ended in captivity each time, if you get what I'm saying here. If you end up in captivity 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, then how are you passing the test in terms of prophecy? Well, you're going through the prophetic process that the Spirit put forth, but it is our test. And the test is to not only go through it, which in essence, if we were to get a grade for each one of these tests, and I can't grade it because it's not my job, Yahawashi would be the one to grade the test on this. Each captivity we came out, we had a chance to not go into captivity again. And what did we do? We revert back to the same thing Jake always do. Follow other nations, not following the Most High, not loving the Father and loving His truth and His word. And you fail the test and you go into captivity again. But now we're at the final test, okay? Now we're at the final test, and that final test is coming up at this point right now. And so here we are. And I'm going to break out some scriptures. I've got quite a few here. I want to start off with James. James 1, 2, verse 2 and 4. So go with me to James chapter 1, and we're going to read 2 and 4. And it says, 1, 2, and 4. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. So the trying is also a test, okay? So that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, right? This is what we're dealing with, right? Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, but let patience have her perfect way, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing, okay? And of course, just a little further, reading 4 or 5, if any of you lack wisdom, let him that ask of power of Yahweh, that eat, which serve the tabernacle. So basically, I like to start off with that because the trying of our faith is here. Now we're at a point where you have to pass the test. Those that pass the test inevitably may, all Lord willing, may get a ride on the chariot and be saved from the destruction that's coming to this world. Part of this test also is going to encompass an area of concern that I spoke about a long time ago. And let's see, I want to make sure that I go there and get it. I know it's in Revelation. Okay. Shalaki. It's it definitely is speaking in terms of, it was under the altar. I know that's what it was during the time. I'm gonna make sure I pull it up too, because I want to make sure I bring that out because that's important. Let's see here. That's when I had a little bit of a brain dislodgement for Revelation chapter 6, around 10 through 11. So I can get, I'm gonna make sure I get this right. So just stay with me. You put in your word search to pull up your stuff that you want, right? We're gonna get to it. Stay with me. All right, hold on. I'm not a fast typer, so forgive me. No. Not. Got it. See what we got here. Okay. All right. Back. All right. I'll get to that in a minute. Just want to make sure I get this part. All right. Going back where we were, Shalaki on the minute I had to take there because I was looking up something. I want to make sure I had the right precept. Okay. The second precept we're going to is still in James. So we're going to go to the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12. And it says, book of James, again, we're still in James, chapter 1, verse 12. It says, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which Yahawah has promised to those who love him. So that is like, that's fire, okay? We need to make sure that we understand that is absolute fire. That was James chapter 1 and verse 12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation, for when he is tried, this is your tested, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. So, right, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of power of Yahweh, for Yahweh cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempted he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. So, you got to be real circumspect and careful in reference to dealing with your own lust, because a lot of times you got a lot of Akim and Aqua who get into situations where they believe that the lust for the things that they want in life are going to be transcended into the new area of the kingdom and the covenant, which that's very problematic in terms of looking at what the Most High is going to do as being a balanced, sovereign, omnipotent, and omnipotent Father in Yahawashi and El Shai. In the beginning, everything was perfect. Everything's going to go back to being perfect. So in essence of looking at that and understanding that from the Most High's righteous platform, you have to understand that what we have been dealing with in this fallen state, everything in this period of time, this prophetic period of time right now is in a fallen state to a degree. It really is. I mean, it's tainted. It can't transcend in its state right now that it's in over into the new kingdom and the new covenant. When Yahawashi shows up, when he comes back, when the Most High sends him forth with the angels and 10,000s and 10,000s of angels talked about in Jude, when he comes through, he's going to take down all kingdoms and destroy anything that's wicked. Anything that's a rudiment and element that's of wickedness is going to be destroyed, which means in an hour, he's going to take out all of everything across the whole earthly plane that is here. Nothing will be against him anymore. In other words, war is no more. Once he shows up, there's no more war. So once he shows up, it's going to be now a realm and a time of peace where peace is going to be in play. And at that point, do we know whether the 144,000 will participate in that hour of warfare? We don't know that. It could be possible he will give his mighty men strength during that time to do things that they have to do. But we don't know who those mighty men are or going to be chosen as. We don't know that. We pray and we say we hope that we're the hopeful elected, that we will get selected to participate. Like I was listening to one of the brothers in Akim talking about, hey, if I'm able to be alive in this present time and witness this and participate, then all praises to the Most High Yahawashi and Yahawashi. But we don't know whether our lot is to be here in that present time and participate in that takedown of the world or not. But we know that Yahawashi is going, and the angels are going to take down the world. And they're quite capable of doing it because they have enough resources. The Most High is not short on resources. He don't need us to take the world down. He can take the world down without us. But once the world is taken down, it is brought into a peaceful period. He says swords will be made into plowshares. Swords will be made into plowshares. And when they'll be beating the plowshares, no one's going to be going around killing or conquering anyone in a war fashion once Yahawashi takes down everything, once he completes everything. So at that point, we're now at the phase of really being into the new covenant. So if we're in that particular time period, everything that's forward is going to be righteous. It's going to be a blessing. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be balanced. It's going to be in line. So anything that's going on here at this time right now in this prophetic process is now changed over to the new process of the covenant and the activities thereof. And we don't know all of it. We have to prophesy in part and we know in part. So we don't really know how it all going to lay out. But we do know it's all going to be perfect and it's all going to be changed. So all the things that you think you want and you think you're going to do and the lust you think you had before, that won't even be playing a part. You won't have those lustful things in your mind. You won't be looking at a woman of any organization, of any other nationality with any kind of lust, because that won't be a part of what your spirit is anymore with the truth and the word written in your spirit. That's just not going to be there. It won't be possible. If you have lust in you and you're looking at something and you want it that doesn't apply to righteousness, you're not going to be able to do that in the new covenant kingdom, because it's not going to be that state of mind that's available. The Most High is not having that. He's not going to let people start this stuff all over again that's in this fallen state and bring it into the new covenant. That's not happening. If you think it is, well, then, you know, you're telling the Most High you're going to do some things that you want and not what he wants. But anyway, I'm not going to digress. Next precept we're going to, you see, this is all a test. You're being tested to understand whether or not you can come through prophecy and pass the test to get a chariot ride and to get into salvation and be there for eternity. Will you make it? Will you pass the test? This is the final test that's coming now. Okay, Peter, 1 Peter chapter 4. 1 Peter chapter 4. Go with me to 1 Peter chapter 4, okay? We're going to go there. We're going to get that next. All right. 1 Peter chapter 4, okay, and we're going with 12 through 9. 12 through 19. 12 through 19. 1 Peter chapter 4, 12 through 19, okay? Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Hamashiach's sufferings. So we know we got to go through things that are going to be very close to what he dealt with, as far as, you know, some of the beatings, some of the rejection, some of the torture, some of the things that you're earning your right to be in the kingdom and be amongst the rest of the prophets and the rest of the apostles and the rest of the elders and those that have already got their robes washed in the blood of Yahawashi. So now, are you going to make it? All right. Finishing sufferings, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. If ye be reproached for the name of Hamashiach, happy are ye. See that? When we get reproached all the time, happy are ye, and the spirit of glory and of power of Yahweh resisteth upon you. On their part, he is evil spoken of, but on your part, he is glorified. So they're going to speak evil of him, but you're going to be glorified. 15, but let none of you suffer as a murderer, or as a thief, or as a evildoer, or as a busybody in other men's matters. In other words, stay out of stuff that's wicked and going wrong and doing stuff that has nothing to do with your salvation and the prophetic process you have to go through to pass your test. Stop getting into stuff that's just immature. You don't need to do that. All right, okay. Shalaki. All right, 16. Yet if any man suffer as a Hebrew, as a chosen Hebrew Israelite, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify Yahweh on this behalf. 17, for the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of Yahweh of power, and if it first began at us, what shall the end of them that obey not the gospel of Yahweh? Question. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? See, so you can see right now, this is going to be tough, man. I mean, we're talking, you got to buckle down, and this is the last test. And if the righteous barely be saved, think about the rest of these, I don't even know what to call them, 2/3 or maybe less than 2/3, 1/5 or 1/8, whoever they are. We're trying. We're working hard as we can to try to at least make it as much as we can, Lord willing. And if we can, we barely make it. If we can, we barely make it. So what are they going to do, man? I mean, really? See, their lots are already set. Okay, finishing up. And if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear? Wherefore, let them that suffer according to the will of Yahweh commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing as unto a faithful creator. So, the Most High, like I said, he's already put in motion his prophecies. And that's why the lesson says what it says. The spirit of prophecy is your test. So you're either going to finish the agreement that you made with Yahawashi in the spirit world with when you were there, and you agreed to within the realm of grace that you're given to be here, because you don't have free will. So that realm of grace that you have, that elasticity of grace, and that you have within that, you have faith. You have your faith within that elasticity of grace. And if you stretch it and keep stretching it, soon you get to a certain point where you can stretch it too far, like a rubber band, and pop, it'll pop, and then your ass is back in the spirit world, answering to Yahawashi on why you didn't fulfill the mission that you were sent here to fulfill. So you really have just, jacked yourself up for the most part, because you didn't fulfill your mission, and you were supposed to, and now you're back in the spirit world. So understanding that was of course my that was 1 Peter chapter 4, 12 through 19. Now next I'm going to stay in 1 Peter, but I want to go to 1 Peter 1 through 7. Okay, chapter 1, and we're going to go chapter 1, verse 7. Chapter 1, verse 7, forgive me. All right. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 7. That the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth through, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Yahawashi HaMashiach. Okay? All right? You got that one? Read it again. So that the testing, the genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that perishes through, though it is tested by fire, this is tested, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Yahawashi HaMashiach. Okay, so like I said, this is we're all being tested by the Most High Yahawashi, and you're either going to pass this test or you're not. And you can see by looking at some of the activities of the people and some of the camps and some of the men and some of the people that are in or so-called not in the truth or in the truth, they're not doing very well as far as passing the test is concerned. You have a lot of problems with them, in fact, getting through the testing process. It's not working out real well for them for the most part. Okay, the next precept we're going to is Hebrews chapter 12, 4 through 11. Hebrews chapter 12, 4 through 11. So let's go there next. Hebrews, and we're going through 4 through 11. All right. It says here, and this one is very important because a lot of people, did we read 4? Yeah, we did 4. Yeah. Hebrews chapter 12, 4 through 11, and it says, let's read. Ye have not yet resisted unto blood, striving against sin. Now, this is so very important, okay, because we have a lot of men, Akim and Akwab, that are out here, and they have a lot of boasting. They have a lot of pride. They have a lot of arrogance. It comes off in many different fashions. Sometimes through their reprove, or when they're doing their reproving of others, it kind of leads into a very prideful arrogance in terms of the way they present information. Not everyone, but some. There are some who do a great deal of excellent reproving when it comes to the scriptures, the truth, and helping the brethren, helping their kinsmen, helping the Akim to understand what it may take to pass the test and be accepted by Yahawashi and then potentially have a ride on the chariot and get to salvation. Now, the apostles have been bringing out the truth for decades, and all of what they're saying is now coming in the face of the false prophets that you see now. You see that the MOTB and the various types of of activities that are being brought forth through different inoculations and things that are being presented, as well as, the process of looking at what it is that we're supposed to be doing in order to inherit the kingdom of heaven. These things are now coming to fruition in front of the faces of the individuals who claim to be prophets and claim to be knowledgeable and claim to be in the truth. But at the same time, they would deny what the apostles of Great Millstone has said, and now it's flying in their face. And what are they going to do? They're miserably failing the test in terms of how they're leading the sheep in the congregation. I was looking for, and I was going to look up what we should be feeding sheep, and I was going to try to look it up in a carnal perspective to try to reach some of these people who can't understand the spiritual perspective. Because as I said in the lesson I said before about the shearing, the steering, and the spearing of the sheep of Yahawashi, a sheep doesn't have protection. If you think about all the animals in the animal kingdom that the Most High created, what does the sheep have that protection other than a ram? Now, a full-grown ram has those ram horns that he could hit you and take you out. But when it comes down to other animals that have fangs and claws and other areas, which you can liken unto some of the heathens of the world and some of the wicked, Esau, Edom, and what have you, they were born with the ability to have a form of protection or a form of something that could attack, a form of or a measure of being able to attack and protect themselves. But sheep don't have it. Now, we are the sheep, and what protection do we have? And so we don't perform very well in terms of the makeup of how we are in terms of just without Yahawashi, Yahawashi. We can't do it. We can't cut it because the sheep can't protect itself. The sheep is going to get eaten. The sheep is going to get destroyed. And that's just the way that the situation is laid out. So the only protection we have is our shepherd, which is Yahawashi. So, and if you reject him, you're rejecting the Father, which means you reject all your protection, which means at this point you will fail the test. You can't pass it without it. In other words, it's an open book test. Here's the book. It's open book. How easy can that be? It can't be real hard. Anytime you take an open book test, if you're still failing, look, that means the food that you're eating or the food that is in this book, which is the manna, which is the food, think about it. Think about it. You are not eating the right food. And if a sheep eats the wrong food, you won't have any strength as a sheep, let alone have any strength becoming a ram. You're not going to be able to even have a chance of survival. So if you're not eating this food, and that's why the brothers always say you got to eat the whole roll. If you're not eating this, then you're not having a diet of what you're supposed to have in terms of having enough health and enough wealth within your raw condition, the spiritual perspective you're laid out to be in to pass the test. If you don't have the nourishment of this food, of this book, this Bible, you don't have it, you don't have nourishment. You don't have food, you can't eat, you're not eating right, and you're not going to be healthy enough, even as a sheep, to even pass your test. Not to digress, let's move. Let's read some more of what I had at in Hebrews 12. I want to go a little further. Okay, and it said, "You have not resisted the shedding of blood, and have you forgotten the exhortation that addresses you as sons? My son, do not regard lightly the discipline of the Lord, nor be weary when reproved by him." See, then the prophets be reproving people, but you can't be weary of that. You're going to have to bounce out of that, get out, correct yourself, and move on. I got reproved. I accepted what I had to deal with, and I dealt with it, and now I'm moving on and learning and continue. I'm not going to stay in the same state, okay? All right. Shalaki, for the Lord disciplines the one he loves and chastises every son whom he receives. It is for discipline that you have to endure. That's passing the test. Yahweh is treating you as sons For what son is there whom his father does not discipline? Question. If you are left without discipline, in which all have participated, then you are illegitimate children and not sons. So you illegitimate. You're not even for the Most High. So he can't even accept you in that manner. Okay, that was 5. Okay, we need to get through my scriptures, Shalaki. But we're rolling. All right, we're going now Hebrews chapter 11, verse 17. So go to 11:17. I'm trying to get through this pretty quickly because it's a good lesson, but it's got some meat to it. All right, Hebrews 11, 17 through 19. All right, it says here, by faith Abraham, he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promises was in the act of offering up his only son, of whom he was said, of whom it was said, through Isaac shall your offspring be named. He considered that Yahweh was able to even to raise him from the dead, from which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back. So basically, he did get received from the grave in terms of that particular portion. He passed that part of the test. How many people would really pass a test of that nature? And we're coming upon that time where sacrifice is coming, and it may be our children, it may be family members, where we have to actually make a decision to sacrifice ourselves, our children, and anyone else. This is where it comes. This is the big altar here in this area where we are, in this valley of the shadow of death. This is the altar. And we're either going to pass the test or not. This is where we're going. Okay, so that brought me to Hebrews about Abraham, but I also wanted to I wanted to hit 7, which talked about Genesis, which is what happened with Abraham. Genesis chapter 22, 1 through 24. I don't know if I'll read all of it, but I'm going to read most of it here. After these things, Yahweh tested Abraham and said to him, Abraham, and he said, here I am. And he said, take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you. So Abraham rose. So he did rise up, right? He rose, Shalaki, up early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and his son Isaac, and he cut the wood for the burnt offering and arose and went to the place of which Yahweh had told him. On the 3rd day, Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw a place from afar. Then Abraham said to his young men, stay here with the donkey, and I and the boy will go over there and worship and come again unto you. So in other words, he went over there to do what I read in Hebrews about the fact that in 11, that he was going to make the sacrifice at that time. And this is what was going to happen. And so we got sacrifices coming for us as well. So we got to get ready for that because it's coming soon. All right. Next, I want to go to Philippians chapter 4, 6, and 7. Philippians chapter 4, 6, and 7, and it reads, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to Yahweh, and the peace of power, which suppresses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Hamashiach Yahawashi. So you want to stay close to the Most High, as close as possible, so that you can pass the test. Psalms chapter 66 and verse 10. Okay, and we're going to get another one as well, a precept that follows to that. Psalms 66 verse 10. For you, O power, O Yahweh, have tested us. You have tried us as silver. Silver is tried, okay? And the precept that I followed up with that was in Isaiah chapter 48 and verse 48:10. It says, behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tried you in the furnace of affliction. So the Most High is taking us through the prophetic process that he has set up that's going through. And in order for us to get through that perfection, we will be tried. And will you pass the test? This is what's important. Okay, next precept I want to get to is I want to get to Shalaki. Where is it? Okay, yeah, Job. I want to go to Job chapter 23 and verse 10. And it says here, but he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come out as gold. Let me read that again. That's fine. Job chapter 23:10. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come out as gold. That's fire. I love that. That is so good. So obviously Yahweh is refining us as silver and gold. Some of the silver may be the elect. Some of the gold may be the very elect, in terms of that translation, to give you that meaning. So you can't look past that in terms of your testing process. Okay, next we're going to go to the book of John, and we're going to read John chapter 16, and verse 13. It says here, when the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. For he will not speak of his own authority, but whatever he hears, he will speak, and he will declare to you the things that are to come. So clearly when Yahweh sends the Yoah HaKodesh, truth will be revealed. That's why I've always said that the accuracy that the apostles are bringing is total accuracy to what has been offered through the Ruach HaKodesh and Holy Spirit at this time. And is more things being revealed through prophecy as we go through, because as I said before, that is the lesson in itself speaks about the fact that the spirit of prophecy is your test. And they are passing the test because what they're speaking is, you see it happening in front of your face. What these other people in camps are speaking, you don't see it happening. They're not bringing out prophecy. They're not talking about they're talking about the MOTD. They're not talking about the stab and jab. They're not talking about, all of what's coming. In fact, even in the book, it says under the souls that are under the altar, roughly paraphrasing, they're crying out, "Oh Lord, Lord, when will you avenge our righteousness through this?" Roughly paraphrasing, through the earth. No, and of course, Yahweh said, and I'll try to get that scripture for you too, that once your brethren, your kinsmen, the saints are slain as you were, then at that time will the end come. So that's part of the end time process of the MOTD and everything else that's going on. That's a sequence in the process. The end can't come until the saints and those set aside ones, the elect that were chosen, like the brothers that were slain before, they have to pay. They will pay in many ways. Maybe some will be martyred, or in some way they have to be slain in a way, whether they're slain in the word, slain in the truth, slain in the way that they're treated in the world, or they're ridiculed, or they're shown to be they try to show them as being illegitimate, or like I said in the scripture, or shown to be false. There have to be a slaying of the elect at the end, along with the rest of the process that will happen in terms of what will physically be put in you and be physically put on you. And at that point, we have the end. So that's all encompassing in that realm. But you have to know that in the spirit, and the spirit has to bring that to you in order for you to realize that. Okay, so that's very important. That's why we brought up that in John chapter 16:13. Okay. Next, we're going to go to 1 Peter. We'll go back to 1 Peter. All right, and we're going to 1 Peter. Got it. And we're going to 1 Peter chapter 1, 10 through 12. Concerning this salvation, the prophets who prophesied about the grace that was to be yours searched and inquired carefully. See, this is what the apostles been doing. They searched and inquired carefully, okay? In inquiring what person or time the spirit of Hamashiach in them was indicating when he predicted the sufferings of Hamashiach and the subsequent glories. So they knew that the things that were spoken about and said prior, as far as the truth is concerned, had not been relayed in the way that it's in the accuracy in the way that it was supposed to be, because these were not men who were spiritual who were bringing this out. These were people who absconded our book, gotten our information, twisted it, and tried to write themselves into the prophecies and write themselves into the process. It's not part of them. They're not part of this. So therefore, there's no need to debate them. There's no need to spend any time debating. You cannot debate the truth. That's just not possible. Okay? All right, moving forward. Okay. It was revealed to them that they were serving not themselves, but you. See, they weren't serving themselves, they're serving the elect. In the things that they have now been announced to you through those who preach the good news to you by the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, sent from heaven, things into which angels long to look. Even the angels wanted to be able to participate in this period in time and what was going on. So you can see how important that is in terms of passing that test. Okay, now we're going to go to John chapter 14, verse 6. John 14, 6. Yahawashi said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me, by me. He's the way, he's the truth, and the life. You can't come to the Father except by Yahawashi, Hamashiach. Okay? We're getting close to my time, my hour to close this out, so just bear with me. The next precept I'm going to is Psalms chapter 26, and that's verse 2. Prove me, O Yahweh, prove me, O Lord, and try me. Test my heart and my mind. This is what we're asking. This is what we're dealing with at this point in time, right now, as we go through this final captivity in this North American area and what's going on. We are being proved. You're asking for the Most High to prove. That's why you're out here doing the work. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. The next precept is Romans chapter 8 and verse 28. And it says, and we know that for those who love Yahweh, all things work together for good for those who are called according to his purpose. So you got to be called. You can't choose him. He chooses you, and you have to be called for his purpose. And that's what this says in their book. Okay? Let's see. We're going to about ready to wrap this up here. So in essence, what we're talking about is, you want to pass your test, and you're set here to pass the test. Will you pass the test is the important thing. Right at this time now, it's very problematic in terms of what you see as far as, Israel is concerned. Those who consider or think themselves to be the elect, from observation, it doesn't seem to be panning out. Those who are, it's pretty clear, and you can see the light shines through them and from them. There's only few that the light shines to. Whatever camp you're in, whatever organization you're part of, we can see the light. And the light is a beacon to direction to bring us towards Yahawashi and through Yahawashi and Yahawashi. If you don't offer a beacon of light for anyone to come through and to recognize and to gravitate and move towards, then therefore you are not bringing the truth. And if you're not bringing the truth, then you're not passing the test. So, as I said, the spirit of prophecy is your test. And you will pass that test if you get a chance to get accepted by the Most High, Yahawashi and Yahawashi. And that's pretty much the way this lesson is. I pray that Yahawashi and Yahawashi will open your mind and your spirit and maturity to understand what was given. I don't do flashy tricks or any kind of thing that would be in an entertainment fashion. I'm here to read truth and the word to you. If you want entertainment, you have to go find someone else or some other organization to listen to. It's not going to come from me. It's not coming from me. I'm not doing that. That's not the role. It's not my life. It's not what I'm supposed to be. So I just want to say all praise to Yahawashi and Yahawashi, Bashir Kapitash. And Just next time, the Lord brings another lesson, I'll bring it out. If not, I pray that we already get a chariot ride and we're out of here. That would be the next thing I would. Call hello, Yahawah, Bashim, Yahawashi, Bashim, Rakakadash, the water, Yahawah, water, Yahawah, Bashim, Yahawashi, Shalaki, Yahawah, for my sins as I cry. Oh Lord, Yahawah, Bashim, Yahawashi, water, Yahawah, for your mercy all the time. Well, that is the lesson, and I hope you enjoyed the repost. Most High put it on my spirit to bring it out to you. Clearly, he felt as though it was something that was important, and that it should be brought forward to your knowledge and your truth in reference to what we're dealing with and where we're going. I hope you appreciated the fact that I brought forth a little commentary in the beginning about the law, and I'm looking forward to hearing from Yahawashi Yahawashi in terms of bringing forward that universal law understanding that gives you the ability to see that we are going to have to always be under his universal creation and his universal creation of law that he controls completely. That's what we should be looking to aspire to get to and to understand. And as I said before, look, the test that we're going through is not per se like a test you take when you go to school or to college or something like that. We're looking to be purified and cleansed so we can be in the presence of our sovereign Lord, our King, and our Creator. And in order to get to that portion of who we are, we have to go through the stages of graduation, and we have to pass what he considers to be the test to fulfill the law in the manner that it has to be fulfilled. So I hope you appreciate this lesson, and I look forward to hearing something else. And if the Most High reaches back to the archives and pulls something out, so be it. So it's your brother Obadiah Yahukadat, excuse me, your brother Obadiah Yahukadat, and we'll say shalom.